So, good morning, guys, to one and all present here, and welcome to this session on Know the Magic of Kubernetes with AWS EKS. So, let's start ahead. Let me share my screen first, and yeah, good to go. I guess my screen is visible. Let me check it once. Yeah, it is visible. So, welcome to this once again. Welcome to this amazing session on Know the Magic of Kubernetes with AWS EKS. So, let's start ahead. So I am Nipun Parekh. Some of you might know me. So I am AWS UG Group Rajkot leader, and I am also a DevOps engineer, and I am 8 times certified in DevOps engineering. So we don't want to waste much time in introduction part, right? So let's keep moving. And our next speaker is Aman Makwana. He is AWS certified also, and he is working as a DevOps engineer at UD's Solution Private Limited, and he is also started a CNCF community Rajkot group leader, and he is a leader of CNCF Rajkot community. So let's move ahead. Yeah, so as you all know that like CNCF is officially there in Rajkot group. So let's hear some insight from this leader also, CNCF leader only. So let me add Aman. Yeah, so hi Aman. First of all, congratulations to adding this group at the Rajkot. Like you are the leader of CNCF community Rajkot. So congratulations on that. And yeah, over to you. Can you please provide some more information about the CNCF, like what is the group and what we will learn something and about somewhat introduction?
Okay, sure. Thank you, Nipun, for introduction. Okay, so first of all, let me introduce myself as Nipun has already introduced me, but let me give my introduction. So my name is Aman Makwana. I am also an AWS certified and also an AWS community builder and working as a DevOps engineer at UD Solutions. I also recently started a CNCF community Rajkot group. So let me drive through a CNCF. Like first of all, what is CNCF? So CNCF is a cloud native computing foundation. So here you hear the word like cloud native. So what is cloud native? So cloud native is a approach for building a software in which software needs the help of cloud in order to maintain the scalability and availability and resiliency. Right. So this is cloud native. So what is cloud native computing foundation group is all about?
Mm-hmm.
So CNCF projects are already dealing with cloud native, which is let me take names of some of the projects. Like there are projects such as you hear that Kubernetes, Prometheus, Grafana. These are highly well-known projects which are every now and then used by top companies in order to gain insights, in order to have a scalable systems. So it is all about CNCF. So what is CNCF group Rajkot deals with? So CNCF group Rajkot gives events and talks and take webinars around cloud native technologies and every now and then give insights about cloud native projects. And we deal with many cloud technologies like currently you are hearing the words like GitOps and things and technologies like that. We also introduce you some of the opportunities to learn under the CNCF ambassadors and experts. And this is all about CNCF Rajkot community.
Great, Aman. Thank you for the brief introduction about the CNCF community. So, guys, now without wasting time, we are starting our live session on Kubernetes. So, over to you, Aman.
Okay, so thanks, Nipun. I'm sharing my screen. Let me know once it's visible.
Okay, still I have not got it. Yeah, yes, now you are visible. Your screen is visible.
Okay, it is visible, Nipun.
Yeah.
Okay. So hello, guys. Without wasting much time on CNCF, and let's get started with our today's webinar, which is Know the Magic of Kubernetes with AWS EKS. And this will be our agenda that we will be going through what is Kubernetes, why Kubernetes is important, and why you should use it, and why any company or organization should adopt the Kubernetes, and what is the features and architecture of Kubernetes. And finally, the most interactive part of this session, which is hands-on, which is covered by Nipun, and you will enjoy a lot in this hands-on session. So moving on to the next slide. Okay, so what is Kubernetes? So first of all, Kubernetes is designed by Google, and it is currently maintained and managed by Cloud Native Computing Foundation Group, which is CNCF group, and also it is a CNCF graduated project. So Kubernetes is a tool, or we can say application that mainly helps uh, in application deployment, scaling, and management, and also it helps scaling an application in many ways. As we uh, as we have discussed Kubernetes, we are also going to discuss some of their parts in further slides. Okay, so moving on to the next. Okay, so why should you use Kubernetes? So let's discuss one each of their benefits and parts. So it gives you better management through modularity. So here comes the word modularity. So what is modularity? So let's take an example where you have an WordPress application, and you have two separate applications. And in two separate applications, the environment variable uh, goes same in both of the applications, right? Uh, so so in traditional manner, I have to give I have to give separate envs to both the applications. Like each application consists of, let's take an example of 50 envs. So I have to give 50 envs to both of these applications. So I don't want to do things like that. And I want to introduce, and there comes the word modularity. So what is modularity? I convert these 50 NVs into one module, and then I call this module in these two applications. So this can be a modularity. So Kubernetes gives the function of modularity. So comes to the second, which it can also helps the organization in IT cost optimization. Okay, then third one is improved scalability and availability. So in coming slides, we'll be discussing that how Kubernetes can help in application scalability, and also Kubernetes will ensure that the application is highly available and resilient. Okay, then four, multi-cloud and hybrid cloud flexibility. So what is that? So so Kubernetes is the bare metal control plane where you can provision your cluster on also on premises network and also on cloud network, and you can also do the combined things of that. So this will help an organization a lot if you have your workload on on-premise network and you want to move to the cloud servers. And also the fifth one is effective migration to the cloud. So Kubernetes can give you the effective migration to the cloud by using their persistent storage and also something like that. We will look this point in detail in further slides. Okay, so let's move ahead. Okay, so what can Kubernetes do? So here are some of the features about the Kubernetes where we should discuss that what can Kubernetes do, and like sort of management. So first point is rollout management. So you can handle with the feature of rollout management, whenever new feature of your application comes, you can handle the changes of your deployment in a way you want to manage. Like you can pause the rollout management, you can resume your changes, and you can roll back to a previous changes. So in case whenever your application is in false state, or is in wrong state, or is in error state, so you can roll out to a previous rollback which is working fine, and you can resolve your error on the current rollout. So yes, Kubernetes can do a rollout management also. Yes, the second point is resource bin packing and allocation. So let's take an example where you have to allocate uh, like you don't want your application to move on high specs of RAM, or consume high amount of CPU. So with Kubernetes, you can allocate resource to individual containers or individual pods, and by that you can do a resource allocation onto a Kubernetes manifests and items also. And the third one is auto scaling. So the Kubernetes can scale your workloads, and on the basis of your mention needs. Like suppose you have to scale your application on the metric of CPU. So you can mention that I want to handle my application load on the basis of CPU, and I want to do the scaling on basis of the metric of CPU. So you can also do that. And also, so the next one is heterogeneous cluster. So as we have discussed that Kubernetes is not like you can run anywhere the Kubernetes. It can be on bare metal server, it can be on your on premises server, and it can be also on the combination of both. So yes, these all are the Kubernetes features. So there are others also, like there are persistent storage. Like let's take an example that uh, you want to provision your Kubernetes cluster in AWS. So where you can do where you can connect the storage. So Kubernetes also provides the flexibility to connect the EBS storage of or any other persistent storage of the clouds, public clouds as well. Your resource bin packing, sorry for this point, is repeated again. Also, the high convenience option. So Kubernetes is a planet scale that focuses high availability, as we have discussed that it can provide high availability nature. Like if you can set up also multi-master nodes where if one node goes down, your workload will be automatically migrated to the another nodes without having any downtime. So your application will be highly available. Okay, so moving to the next part of the slides. Meanwhile, if you have any doubts, then you keep posting on the chat and Nipun will answer them. Okay. So next part of the slide is features of Kubernetes. So as we have discussed that it is like automatic bin packing where we can allocate the resources to the containers and pods, and also it can give you storage orchestration that we can also scale the storage on the basis of our needs. And it has also a service discovery and load balancing. Yes, we can do load balancing also with Kubernetes. Yes, also for which is self-healing. Like if one of the pod goes down, then it spawns the other pod and ensures that your desired number of pods should be up and running, right? So the next is secret and configuration management. Yes, you can also handle secret and config management in a very better way with Kubernetes. You can also have a batch execution. Like yes, you can also schedule some cron jobs as per your environment, and you can schedule as much as cron jobs you can in any environment in Kubernetes, and also it can provide just horizontal scaling, horizontal and vertical scaling both. And last but not least, it has some automatic rollbacks and rollouts. Like as we have discussed, that if you have a faulty feature in your application, then you can roll back to the previous version of your application, and it works fine, right? So the main and the most important thing of this webinar, that is Kubernetes architectures. So in this webinar, we will be discussing the control plane, which is a master node of this Kubernetes architecture, which consists of API server, scheduler, controller manager, and HCD cluster. So we can access Kubernetes with two things. We can access this Kubernetes with CLI, which is we are doing like kubectl get pods, get nodes, and things like that. And we also can access the Kubernetes with UI. With the UI things, like if you have heard something about Lens tool and also Kubernetes dashboard. So yes, moving on to the head to discuss the Kubernetes architecture. Okay, so here is the master plan components. So the master plan components is consist of four main things. One is HCD cluster, one is API server, one is scheduler, and one is controller manager. Don't worry about these jargons. I will sort out everything for you in upcoming slides. Okay, so next is first and foremost is HCD cluster. So what is HCD cluster? So HCD cluster is a consistent and highly available key value store. So as it has mentioned that it is consistent and highly available. So it is a backbone of the Kubernetes master plane. Uh, each and every detail of your Kubernetes master plane that is you have configured, that is nodes, pods, configs, secrets, accounts, role bindings, all of the details are stored in this HCD cluster. And you have to ensure that your HCD cluster will be in highly available and highly secure environment, right? So do you know what the thing when you what happens when you type kubectl get pods in your CLI? What happens? No, let me clear. So when you fire kubectl get pods command, all the details you get in those response are fetched from HCD cluster itself. So Uh, so you can set up HCD cluster in two ways mainly. If you are using managed service, then you don't have to have a headache of managing HCD clusters availability and backing up. And second thing, if you are setting up a Kubernetes cluster on bare metal servers, then you can set up HCD cluster in two ways. That you can set up HCD cluster from scratch, that you have to deploy each and everything and like database and all in from scratch. And other thing is by kubeadm. What is kubeadm? That kubeadm deploys that HCD cluster server as a pod, right? So this is all about, this is the broad overview of the HCD cluster. So moving on to the head components, that is Kube API server. So what is Kube API server? So the Kube API server validates and configures the data. So as I have mentioned in previous HCD cluster, that whenever you fire a kubectl pod or kubectl nodes command, the entire details will be fetched from HCD cluster. But how it is fetched and from where it is fetched, there comes the Kube API server in the picture, uh, where Kube API server, we'll be seeing the flows in upcoming slides, that what should actually happen when you type this kubectl commands, get nodes and interacting with Kubernetes API. So this is a Kubernetes API which will deal with you and which will deal with CLI and HCD cluster. Okay, so as I mentioned that we'll see in upcoming slides. So when you fire kubectl get nodes command, first of all, kubectl get Kube API server authenticates your request. That it authenticates the user, that this user is authenticated to perform this operation or not. Then it validates the request, that the user is actually authorized to perform that operation or not. Okay, so after validating the request, it will retrieve the data from HCD cluster, that yes, now you are authorized to get the details of nodes, and then it will retrieve the data and display it to you. Okay, so now other thing. So what happens when you create the pod? So let's take an example where you deployed the Nginx architecture, Nginx, simple Nginx web server or Apache web server, or any application or pod you have created. So what will be the flow here? So let's understand it step by step. So first of all, as I have mentioned, that Kube API server will authenticate the user, that it will be authenticate to perform that operation or not. And then second thing, it will validate the request. So Kube API server will check the authorization of that user, whether that user is able to create the pod or not. After the request is validated, the kubectl will retrieve the data from HCD cluster. So HCD cluster has currently no pods. So and it has requested to create pod. Okay, so as you've seen that the pod is created, so it will update the HCD cluster that now one pod is created, and and now HCD cluster is the data that one pod is there. Now it goes to the scheduler. Then scheduler, we'll discuss the scheduler in upcoming slides. The scheduler, what can scheduler do, and what is the main role of scheduler in Kubernetes master plane architecture. And finally, the kubelet. We'll also discuss that in upcoming slides. Okay, so what is kube controller manager? So as the name itself suggests, that it is a manager kind of thing. So let me give you an introduction about that. So kube controller manager is a kind of manager which continuously sees the state of your cluster, and whenever you make any changes, or you do some changes like delete, update, or make some changes in your deployments or Kubernetes manifest. So every time you make the changes in your cluster deployments, controller tries to match the state of that cluster. Like controller ensures that suppose you have mentioned 2 replicas of your deployment, right? So controller ensures that 2 of your replicas remains up and running every time. So if one of your pods or one of your pods nodes goes down, it will report to the controller, and controller will always in a loop in a communication with API server, and API server is in communication with HCD server. So you get those details by kubectl and get those commands, right? So don't worry, we also we are also going to see that kube controller manager flow, that what actually happens. Okay, so here is the kube controller manager. That here is the node controller. There are several controllers like there are node controller, pod controller, deployment controller, application controller. We'll all see the details in upcoming webinars, or it is something in a bit advanced phase, right? So first let's talk an example where you have two worker nodes. Uh, Due to some error or due to some issues, one worker node is not available or in not ready state. So what happens? Kube API server is monitoring those each and every nodes. So it will watch status of each and every nodes, and it has some we can say metrics like node monitor period seconds, as here mentioned, that it will take the heartbeat of that node every 5 seconds, and it will be posted back to the Kube API server. So Kube API server knows that this node is healthy or this node is unhealthy. So whenever this node is down, and after 5 seconds of period of health check, Kube API server goes to know that that the node is not in ready state. So it directly updates the same in all of the cluster, and directly updates to the S3 cluster. So whenever you get you fire the command kubectl get nodes, it will mm, it will update you regarding the same. So here's the bit introduction about kube controller manager. Okay, so another big jargon for the Kubernetes master plane is kube scheduler. So what is kube scheduler? So kube scheduler is a control plane which assign. So how can you decide? First of all, let me have a question. So how can you decide that my pod is going to that my pod or container is going to these nodes? So how can Kubernetes make the selection of that? So there comes the kube scheduler in picture, where kube scheduler determines that in which node I have to schedule my pod. I have several requirements, like suppose I have one high level application which requires high memory usage. So I need to decide that I am going to deploy that my node in that environment, in that node with high memory. So I have to specify in spec YAML like that. I have to do this and this, and on the basis of my pod spec YAML, or whichever the user gives, on the basis of that, kube scheduler decides that where to schedule a pod onto the nodes. So let's understand more by pictorial representation. Okay, so I have one use case where my CPU has a workload of around 10.10 core. Okay, so how can it decide? So first of all, kube scheduler filter the nodes. Like as of now, I have 4 nodes. So in which of the nodes my CPU of 10 will be fitted? So 4 will be 2 nodes of 4 core of the CPU will be eliminated. So now two will be there, 12 or 16. So on the basis of that, kube scheduler filters the node and schedules the pod onto that nodes. Okay, so moving on to the next part. So what is kubelet? So kubelet, as the name itself suggests, that kubelet is the primary node agent. So what is the mean by node agent? So node agent is a kind of thing that which runs on each and every node. Suppose you have 50 nodes, then you have 50 node agent, 50 kubelets. So what these kubelets do? So kubelets has many tasks, and it is also the most important thing, that it registers the nodes to the cluster and the API server, that so that my Kubernetes cluster can know that I have 3 nodes, 4 nodes, or such nodes. So it's the duty of kubelet to configure that node to the cluster, or to connect the node to the cluster with the name of like host name or the flag. You can also override that in case of your needs. And also kubelet is the thing That also ensures that the desired number of pods are up and healthy all the time as per provided by users. So let's decide that I have one application, then I want a fully high availability of my application. So I have mentioned that I want to run 10 replicas of that application. So kubelet is the thing or tool that can ensure that 10 pods are up and healthy all the time, that it can maintain the desired state and current state of my application. Okay. And it is also it does not take any decisions by themselves. It is totally depending upon you, that how you are configuring your node or pod spec. Okay. So this is about the kubelet, and this is about the whole Kubernetes master plan architecture. Okay. So this is the kubelet architecture, where as you have seen, this is the master plan, this is the worker node. And one thing that you don't have to do anything in master node. Your workload, your applications, and your anything and your application stack will be deployed on worker nodes itself. Master node it is for these four things only: kube api server, hcd cluster, controller manager, and kube scheduler. Okay. So so as I have mentioned that kubelet is a node agent. So what is node agent? It runs on each and every node. So as you have seen that it is running on each and every node, and it is the pilot of that shape if we can consider the real time example of that. Okay, so as you know that kubelet is connected with the Docker containers, and it will first of all register the nodes, then create pods, and then it's monitor node and pods both. And it is continually taking the data from that pods and nodes from monitoring, and then it will be continue posting the data to kube api server, right? And kube api server will post it to hcd cluster, and whenever we fire the command like kubectl get pods nodes something like that, then it will give you the exact response. So this will be the Kubernetes architecture. Okay, then finally the most and foremost part of this webinar, which is hands-on, which is covered by Nipun. So over to you, Nipun.
Yeah, thank you, Aman. First of all, you have given the introduction about the Kubernetes architecture in a very simple way. As we all know, like it is very difficult thing to understand the architecture first, but you have done a great job. So let's move with the hands-on practical. So, Aman, if my screen is visible, then please let me know. Uh,
Okay.
is my screen is visible, right?
Yes, Nipun, it is visible. Good to go.
Great, great. Yeah. Thank you, Aman. So I will put you in a background. Yeah. So guys, as we are going to do hands-on with Kubernetes on AWS cloud only. So I hope you have the AWS account which is configured. So what we have to search for if we want to do hands-on and we don't know the what is AWS cloud, then just make an account. You will get your account ID and you will get this console when you are login with your account. Then here is a search bar where you can search all this thing, all the services which you want to search. For example, I want to launch a server. Then what I will do? I will go to and type an EC2 because that is the service name of AWS. From there you can launch your server, right? So this is the very simple thing, and I can tell it is a very good way they have given the UI. Like AWS has provided UI in a very drastically great way because it is very simple to use. And also let me tell you, like you can also bookmark this like as a favorite one. So just for an example, let me give, like if I want to use Kubernetes service, so what is the name of Kubernetes service? That is Elastic Kubernetes Service, and that's its short form is EKS. So that short form is given by AWS, it EKS. So if I want to like this service and if I'm continuously using this service, then what I will do, I can able to watch this star button over here or star icon over here. I will click it over here and you can simply watch it is added over here. So it is similar kind of thing as a bookmark in our Chrome tab or in our browser. If we want to bookmark that particular thing, then what we'll do, we'll click over here and we'll bookmark this thing. So similarly kind of features they have provided over here. So always when I don't want to go and search over here like EKS, ECS, EC2, just I have to what I have to do, I will just click the things and it will redirect me to the particular server or the particular services. So these are some practice or my server which I've launched, but never mind. So you will get this kind of view when you are going to go inside this EKS services. So what is cluster? So as Aman has mentioned, like we can create a cluster. Inside cluster we will get a master node and worker node. So we can add our cluster over here. So let's create it. So in a cluster we are getting two options. If we have already created the cluster, then we can directly go and register with this, but it is a advanced topic, so we are not looking forward to do that right now. I'm just click on the create part or the create button, and you will get the configuration cluster. So over here you have to mention your name, you have to mention the Kubernetes version, and you have to mention the cluster service role. This is the important one. We will look it, because we'll look it in a few minutes, because when we are going to create a cluster, it will take around 5 minutes of time. So in that 5 minutes we will explore this, what is the cluster role and what is the node role, why we have to give this. So that part will see in this afterwards, in between 5 minutes, after 5 minutes. So right now let's start with this creating a cluster. So what name should I give? Like I want to give this name as CNCF. Cluster name is, because this is CNCF and AWS UT group uh, initiative. So let's give the name as the CNCF, and over here it is the Kubernetes version. So it is like if you have used the WhatsApp, then continuously after a month they are going to update something, they are going to give us new features. So similar kind of thing, it is there in the Kubernetes. So it is there as the Kubernetes version. So when we have to update the WhatsApp, at that time what we'll do, we will go and Play Store and we'll update it. So over here you will get the drop down. So by default, AWS is suggesting this one, 1.21 version, because it is the latest one. So let's go with that only. But yeah, according to a requirement, if you want to go with 1.18, 1.19, you can go over here. There is no issue into that. But I am going with latest one. Right. Then over here it is a cluster service role. So what does it mean by cluster service role? That will look it afterwards. So right now I have lots of role, and let's take any one role, like one IU. Yeah, that will work. And after that, over here it is secret encryption. Like if you want to make your security things very much, like we can say, very much strong, then you can use this secret encryption, all kind of thing, by using the AWS service, that is a secret manager service. And if you want to give a tag is not necessary, but if you want to give a tag for the remembering the things, then you can give from here. Like I want to give the name as, you can say, webinar. So afterwards if I want to delete the things, then I can uh, select that, and if the tag is not that of production, then I will delete my all this thing, right? I hope you are getting my points till yet. Okay, moving ahead with next. Then here is the VPC. In some similar, or in some common word, if I want to express the VPC, it is a private architecture or private network. Inside that you can do all this stuff, and these are the subnets. If you are not aware about it, then we are going to plan all this thing in the deep details, or for this further sessions. But right now we are going to use the VPC, that is a virtual private cloud. So it means you are creating your things into that particular network. So for example, if you're university, if you are studying in university, if you are working on the company, then they are having their particular network. Why? Because everyone from over the internet are not allowed to go inside that particular network. So that is the, what you can say, we can tell it is a security part, that it is a mandatory thing. So over here AWS is also providing, you can create your own virtual network or on network, and you can do your stuff whatever you want to do. If you are going to not allowed my IP, like my IP is 192 dot something dot something, and if you don't want to allow to enter to my particular network, then you can restrict it also, because that is your only network. So not wasting much time into that. And over here it is a security group. You can assume that it is an instance level firewall. You can tell, like I hope you have heard the name of the firewall, because it is a mandatory nowadays, because a lot of attacking are going on, so we can stop it with the use of firewall. So here is the security group. I'm not telling it is exact firewall, but it is similar kind of firewall which is attached to our particular instance, or I can tell we have our laptop or our PC. inside that we are having antivirus, or we are having some configuration like that particular kind of thing, you can assume that. And over here I will use with the default one. Yeah, moving ahead, if I want to give the IPv6 network and all this kind of stuff, but I'm not interesting to do advanced part right now, because this is a very basic session. And over here it is a cluster endpoint, so if we want to use cluster as a publicly, from anywhere I can access it. Or if I want to make it private, like some only particular user are going to use my particular server or particular application, then I can go with a private one. And I can go with a both option, but these are the advanced topics, so we are going with a public one also, only. And these are the some networking part, like virtual private cloud CNI is there. And we are using the same version, by default version, we are not doing any kind of changes. So let's jump to the next part. And yes, here are some logs, like if we want to logs, like if you are facing any issue in the API server, how should I came to know? You will get this only error, like, yeah, I am not able to connect with API, I am not able to connect with authenticator. You will get only that particular log. But if you want to get the logs, that particular logs will be stored into your AWS CloudWatch, or whatever log stream you will configure over there. But it will charge you some amount of rupees, so you have to watch that pricing plan for this thing. But right now I'm not interested to do all this logging plan. Then moving ahead, simply I'm not changing anything, just moving ahead with the next. Yes, and over here it is the review and create. So let me go and create this cluster. Okay, sorry, my size is reset, let me reset it. So this is the review, like once you can verify whether I have not misconfigure anything, I missed anything. Like main thing is to check like version I have given, which VPC, which subnet, that particular thing are the main. So we will look at this, like security group, that is default one. This is a default one, VPC and subnet are great, we are good to go. So these are some basic things. So before creating, AWS is giving you option like review it once. If any changes is needed, then you can simply go and particular edit this option, you can click on this and you will get that window and you can edit the things, right? And just I'm getting, and I'm just create, I'm clicking on create. So you will get this kind of notification like CNCF is now being created. So this, what I have given the cluster name is CNCF, and that is in creating state. So as I mentioned, it will take around 5 minutes of time. So till that we can go and check what is the IAM role or cluster role that I have given. Let's move to this. So over here I can find this cluster IAM role. To watch that, inside that, watch what part of role I have given, that I can go and simply click on it, and I can able to go and watch the things in IAM console. So who the joining are the new to the AWS, then just giving some information of the IAM is identity and access management. From that you can create your users, you can create your roles, like not going in deep side of the what is role and what is policies, but whatever permission we want to allow to user. For example, if I want to give permission to my driver that you can drive this Audi car, that my Audi car. Or if I want to give permission, there are my two driver, one is the oldest one and one is the new joinee. So what I will do, I will give my costly car is the OD one. So what I will tell, like, this is the oldest one driver, I will give permission that you can drive this Audi car, but I will not give permission to my second driver who is new joinee, that you can't drive this my Audi car because this is the costly one and this is my security parameters. You can assume that, right? So I will try to explain you in the lemon language, but if you are not getting, then sorry, I could not explain you in a better way. So let's go ahead and let's see. This is a permission policy. So these are the by default permission that we want to give. That is a Amazon EKS cluster policy and VPC resource controller. So these both are the policy that we have to go and we have to give to this cluster. Because if we are not going to give this policy, then we can't able to join our cluster or we can't able to launch our cluster. And that is a mandatory thing. This is a VPC resource, it is a mandatory one. Like without giving permission into my network, how should I create the things? If we want to access the Google server, but if I have not given the permission to go inside the Google server, then how you can access it? Or in simple manner, I have logged your house and I have told you go inside my house, but how you will go? Because I have the logged. and the lock key is with me. I have not given you permission, then you are not able to go inside house. But once I've given this permission or this policies, then you have the key to unlock this lock, and then you can go inside the house. So these are this policy. Through that we have given this, you can able to go inside this house, or you can go and create this thing, and you can't create this other things. So these are we can manage with over here, like in IAM console or in IAM service. We can go and select this particular services and policies, right? I hope I am clear with you guys. And still it is there, we can soft reload it, and still created time, it is 3 minutes ago, still it is in creating phase. So what is the cluster, like Aman has to explain in a very simple manner. So as Aman has mentioned, cluster is the main thing, and inside that we are going to create a master and service node, or master or controller node, that kind of thing. Master and server, that kind of particular architecture. So by default, why we have to, the first question will raise in your mind, like if I want to do all this thing, then why should I use AWS EKS service? This is the most important thing I can tell you. Will this question will rise in your mind, because this is EKS is the managed service. So what does it mean? I don't have to go and create all this stuff, like Aman has explained what is scheduler, what is controller, kube API server, etcd, that I don't have to go and manually configure things. If you have experienced that thing, then I can assure you that it is a very difficult thing, and it will cost you much time. Like for example, if I'm going to create this particular cluster in 5 minutes, then if you are going to do this thing without this AWS services or any managed services, then minimum you will cost around 30 to 40 minutes to create all this kind of parameters and configure the things. So that is a, I can call your time saver. So it is a managed service by AWS. You have to just create a cluster, and all these master parameters like kube API server, etcd, controller, scheduler, it will be managed by AWS. So we don't have to worry about any things, that particular things. What we have to worry about, that is control node groups, that is our slave nodes, or yeah, we can call it as a slave nodes. So that is a great thing by the AWS, or that is they are giving us this managed services that we can save over time. So let's see, still it is creating. So till yet, what if my cluster is created and I want to test the commands, like I want to check with whether my nodes are up, whether I can deploy my nginx service, or I can deploy my nginx deployment or not, then what we can do, like compulsory we have to go with the CLI way, right? So for that I have opened my CLI. By default you will find this, I'm using what kind of terminal, I'm using Windows only, but by using my Ubuntu command, some of the Linux commands, so for that I have used the commander cmder. You can also use it. So for that reason I have used the particular CLI mode, and this is a CLI of mine. So for that, if you have, like if you have not installed anything and you are new to this thing and Kubernetes and that kind of thing, then what is the mandatory things? First of all, you need to create an IAM user to access this thing, so they can access this Kubernetes architecture or not, right? So first of all, you have to go and create the IAM user. So let me show you, as I've already created. So let me go once again into IAM services. Over here it is open, and go inside the user, and I have created this Nipun. So my name is there, and I have created by default, in which I have given CLI access. So I have given that CLI access to this. It means that now I can use my AWS account with the CLI only. So to configure that thing, what I have to do, I will type the command. So for first we have to install AWS CLI in my Windows CLI, and I have to just type this command. After installing this AWS CLI, I have to type this thing, AWS configure. And you can able to see, as I've already done the thing, you will able to find this access key, secret access key, and what default region I want to go with, and this what is a output format. Like if I'm going to create my EC2 server or EKS node, then how should I get to know like whether this thing are created and in which format AWS will provide me output? I can select many options like JSON option, and I can select the text option, as I'm not good with the JSON part. So for that reason I selected the text option, right? I'm just pressing at enter, and just for your knowledge, I've just already configured these things to not wasting the time. So this way you can go and configure your AWS access, And let's see, still our cluster is created or not. What do you think, guys? It is created or not? Guys, it is still creating, so let's not wait a much. Till then, there is a two way that we can do the things. First way is just console way, and second way is CLI way. Like in as you if you have seen the DevOps engineer or some administrator kind of role or in your company, they are always going to use CLI. Why? Because in CLI we don't have to deal with the GUI. So the process with, for example, if I want to create some particular things, then in GUI, without using the GUI, it is much faster in using the CLI. So if I want to or if I want to find some deployment file inside my laptop, then what I have to do? I have to just enter the command find and nginx.yaml. If it will be there inside this directory like e drive, I can able to watch it. And if I'm going to use with this GUI, then what I have to do? I have to open the file explorer. Inside that I have to go inside the e drive. Inside that I have to go and I have to find this nginx.yaml file. But over here it is very simple way. So this is the use of the CLI. And mostly in the IT industry, people are not using the console as much as I know. But if they are using that, there will be the manual part. If you want to do the automate the things, then you should use CLI only. So for that reason we are going to use that. So we are, as we have seen, we have first created the cluster with the console. Now I also want to create a cluster with the CLI. Then how should I do that? Then over here it is the command like, okay, you can configure with AWS EKS also, but I don't want to go with EKS because it will create much time. I have also good option, that is of EKSCTL. So you have to install this EKSCTL and kubelet in your PC. So how you can install it? So for that we have the documents. So first, to installing the EKSCTL in your Windows, I've already done that, but to not take much time, I will not execute this command. If you are using the Linux, and you can select the Linux and you can execute this command, and it is very simple. Within 2 minutes you will install your EKSCTL. These are libraries from which we can create, update, delete the things inside our AWS account. Like if I want to create any cluster, then I can use EKSCTL and that part of thing. If I want to delete it, if I want to update it, then I can use EKSCTL. And once again, if we are done with this thing, then we need kubelet. As Aman has told, kubelet is that particular thing. It will interact whatever command we will fire. It will interact with our API server, like kube API server, and it will do the things. Like for example, if I'm telling like I want to buy two chocolates, then what I will do? I will just I will just type the command, I want to buy two chocolates. Then some of from my house, like my mother or my father, will go and buy the chocolates. So this is the best part of EKSCTL. Like I don't have to go and just manage the kube API server. It is directly connect with the kube API server, and whatever things you want to do, it will do from this particular things. And after installing this EKSCTL, there is a kubelet. Kubelet is there, you can install it. It is a very simple command. It will also configure within 2 minutes of time. So if you are using Mac OS, and you can go with this option, Linux and Windows. I will paste this links after this session in this some of the repository, and I will share it with you guys. So don't worry about this. Or you can just simply search on this Google, like AWS install, or you can just type EKSCTL install or kubelet install. You will get these things. And let's see, like my, yes, as you can see, my cluster is created over here, and it is in active state, and it is EKS provider, and my version is 1.21. Let's move ahead. And let's see, like all this detail I can able to get from over here inside the detail. But what if where is my servers? Like as Aman has mentioned, that is our master and slave architecture. Like where is my other slave architecture, or my nodes on which I can run the things, on which I can put my application and it will be run. So for that, what I have to do, I have to go into compute, and I have to add the node groups. So what is node group? It is basically our servers. Inside that, our container will be put and it will be executed. So it is just a high level bird view kind of thing. but inside the node group it is a pods. Inside the pod your container is running, but not to confuse you much more, let's create a node group. It is basically simple server. Inside that you will able to do the things. So what I will give the name of this particular node group, that I will give CNCF node group. So ng means node group, and over here also I have to give the node IAM role. So as I mentioned you previously, IAM role is there for the providing you the access. Like I can particular go inside this particular class or particular house, and I can do the things. So it is there for this providing the access. So I will create any one of this cluster IAM role or node IAM role, and I'm not going with this other advanced option. Just sorry, my screen is, and I'm just go and click on the next, and I will get this configuration. So they will ask like AMI type. Like there are 3 or 4 types of AMI we can get. First of all is there is a AMD processor, AMD architecture AMI. AMI means Amazon machine image. Like you can tell, like if I want to install Ubuntu, then what I have to do? First of all, I have to download that OSI file or this Ubuntu file. That is particular thing. You can assume that that is Amazon AMI. That is things. And if you want to go with the GPU, then you can go with the enhanced performance, or you can go with this enhanced performing GPU type. And if you want to go with ARM processor, then you can go with ARM processor also. And these are some bottle rocket. This is some community AMI, or this is AMI which are they are giving this feature. But right now I'm not interested to do explore that much thing. I'll just click on this Amazon Linux AMD processor only. And capacity type, I will do this similar kind of thing. And what I have to do, I will go and select M6. Is it available? Let me check it. M6 is available. So let's go and launch this M6i type of instance. Or let's just do things. Let's just launch with the T3.medium. And guys, remember this thing, like this is the paid thing. If you are using the, if you are using the student account and you don't want to charge anything, then just go and search about like is this what things are paid or what things are free. Just go and check it, because some things if you are using this other server rather than T2.micro, then it will be cost you, and it will definitely be affected in your billing. So please check it twice, like whether this thing is free or not. And I will default keep the size of minimum 222. I'm not changing anything, not to confuse much. I'm just click on next. This is a subnet. I want to do SSH. Yes, I want to do it. This is an advanced option. If you want to do, then you can do it. If you want to don't, you can, you are allowed to don't do that. I'm click on enable. I'm just selecting my key pair, that is my name only. And security group as default one only, that's 4 5. Nothing much we have to do in console. We have to just do the click and you will good to go. So I want to review it. I don't want to it because I've done this thing, and I will just click on create button. And once it will create, you will get the notification like over here, node group is in creation in progress. So this node group is created till yet. As I have told you, as I have already installed kubelet. So let's see whether my cluster is there or not. So first thing I have to execute this command. It's that is this thing. Like first of all, I want to check EKS get clusters. I will get the list of the cluster which are present in this particular AP South 1 region. So you can able to watch this kubelet server is using this. And as I can get, this is CNCF is active now and as a cluster name. But let's see. Let's first update this config map. So for this, I will use the command AWS EKS. I'm sure like you cannot remember this command. You can go and surf to the internet. You will get this command AWS EKS update the kube config file and name of the cluster. Like name is my CNCF, and I have to give region. In which region it is there? It is there in AP South 1. So my numlock is off. Cool. So I updated the cluster. So what does it mean? Now whatever command I will use with the kubelet, I will get from this particular cluster, because there are 4 cluster. Kubernetes or AWS EKS will not get idea from which cluster I have to fetch the details. So for that thing, I update the update the Kubernetes config file. Inside that, I have told I want to use this particular cluster, and it is there in this region. So now let me go and check like kubectl kubelet get nodes. If my nodes are there, then I will get this thing. And if my still my node is not created, then I will get nothing is there. Yeah, you can able to watch these nodes are there in ready state. So once again I will check here, go and check over here, like it is status creating, but what we have to do the soft refresh. So it is there in the active state, and I can able to check this is the nodes, I can find it over here. And what if I want to get some what's let's not go with this thing. So you can able to watch from the CLI, I can able to check these are the nodes that I am getting. Like as I mentioned, that we have desired count is 2, and we have created the nodes, right, with the use of the sorry, console. So now what if I want to use AWS configure or AWS CLI to create a cluster? So for that command is EKS CTL, then I am create cluster, and we have to give the name. I'm giving to given CNCF hyphen CLI or CNCF CLI. I'm not going to use hyphen or that kind of thing. It will work. And I have to provide the version of it. Like as we have given the Kubernetes version is 1.21. Then I have to provide the node type. It will by default from this it will create this nodes. So let me go with the node type. So node type will be my T3.medium only, medium, make sure my, and what is my node desire count? Let me go with the 2. What is my, oh, okay, sorry, it is not, and it is a T3.medium type of instance, and my nodes are 2. Then what is my minimum node value? Nodes minimum or node minimum is of 2. Let's keep it 2 only. And at last, what is the maximum size that I want to allow? So nodes hyphen max. So let's go with 4 or 2, 2 only. Let's go with 2 only. And I have to give it is managed. Okay, so I've done the mistake over here. It is nodes. I've given this node only. So let me go and check it again. So as you can able to watch, this command is executed. These are the by default things they will create it. And from here, by default, when we are using EKCTL, it will use your cloud formation. In AWS there is a cloud formation service, so it will use that particular thing. So now let's go and check over here whether it is going to create or not. Still it is not created, or it is in creating phase. So you can able to watch, it is still in the creating phase. This will also take 2 or 5 minutes of time. So they are telling some issue is there with that thing. Okay, it is issue with the VPC, and the particular kind of thing address has been reached. So what I will do, I will create a cluster inside some other region. Or let me just give you this command, and you can also try it with this particular thing. Because we are using VPC, and inside that we have reached the maximum limit over here. So for that reason we are not able to create it. But from this command, I'm assuring this thing you can able to create it. Now moving back to the things like let's give it kubectl get nodes. Okay, as we have not much time, it is already we are taking some time. So I hope it is clear like how to create this particular Kubernetes cluster from this AWS, and you can able to get it over here. So I'm but in the next session I will continue with the CLI part, because we are running out of time and we have to compulsory manage our time, and still we are lagging with a Q&A session. So I hope this is informative for you all guys. And if you have any question uh, regarding this particular thing, then feel free to ask. Now let me stop my screen share and let me add the Aman to the stream. Yeah, hi Aman. Aman, you are there in the mute, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Thank you, Nipun, for this great
Yeah.
explanation about making clusters and all.
Yeah, thank you. Now, as we are running out of time, let me go with the question quickly. So let's go with this. Not getting. Yeah, the first question is there of the Smith. Like, I have one question: what is different between Hadoop and Kubernetes? Okay. Okay. Let me answer this question. Like, thank you for asking this question, Smith, and all the guys. So the first question is regarding the what is difference between Hadoop and Kubernetes architecture. So as I can tell you, there are similar kind of thing. They are both working with the node kind of cluster, but mainly Kubernetes is there for this container orchestration tool. So it will mainly manage with the Docker side of thing. Docker, if we have thousands of container, then we are not going to manage it with the manually. Like, I will go and check that container is up and running or not. So for Kubernetes is there for the orchestration of containers, while Hadoop is there following this. And I hope this question is booming nowadays, because in Hadoop has also came up with new features, like they are using this node kind of cluster inside that, but that is mainly using with the data layers. So if you are going with a big data kind of thing, and particular that thing, over there you can use the Hadoop. But if you are going to use container, that part of, then Kubernetes is more better. And I can agree there, both are using this node kind of architecture. So I hope I answer your question. Okay, then going with ahead with the Akshit Patel question. Yeah. Okay. This is the great question, Akshit. Aman, would you like to take this question?
Sure, Nipun.
Cool.
Yes, actually, so as a DevOps, we face these challenges every now and then, because one thing we need to do is to highly available of our running workloads. We should take care of our running workloads, that it should be highly available, suppose if we have a database deployment, so it should be, we have to ensure that it should be in highly secure environment. So this will be this will be a challenge for us, that we have to highly available our workloads, and also we have to store our workloads and secrets in highly secured environment. So 99.99% uptime is our every time challenge.
Yeah. I hope, Akshit, we answered your question. And let me go with, there are a lot of questions, so let me go with this another one, like in production environment, how we should automate and deploy EKS cluster. Aman, would you like to take this?
Yes, yes, Nipun.
Cool.
So Manish, it is a nice question. In production environment, we usually automate of deploying EKS clusters and node group and all our other all our other infra. With there are many, as you have heard in DevOps, there is in infrastructure as a code. So you can use that tool. In AWS side, it is a tool that is cloud formation, as Nipun has mentioned that while generating a cluster through EKS Scuttle, that it is used cloud formation stacks. So yes, you can automate your deploying the EKS clusters to cloud formation, or either if you want to go with cloud independent tool, which is one of the most beautiful and awesome tool lying there is Terraform. So you can do that also.
Okay, one more question from the Manish is there. Are there any template or reference available for the same? Continue for the above question.
Okay, yes,
Um,
Manish, it is there like in Terraform, HashiCorp Terraform registry or cloud formation stacks. You should get the idea about this, the same regarding deploying of, like automating the deployment of EKS clusters.
yes, there are a lot of document is available in also on AWS side. If you are going to use cloud formation, then there is a docs are available, templates are available. You can go and surf it out. There are a lot of resources are available. And once again, moving ahead, lot question are there. Once again, question is of Akshit. What is difference between EC2 and EKS? Okay, so EC2 is therefore it will only create a cluster, or it will only create the server. But for this manage kind of thing, as Aman has mentioned, all this architecture, like if you want to use Kubernetes, then we can go with EKS. We can also use EC2. But as I mentioned while deploying the things, that if you are going to use EC2, then it will take lot of time to do the things like installing kubelet agent, kube api server, and all kind of stuff. You can go with EC2 also, but ECS is a managed service. You can get your things faster. Like, you don't have to wait for 30 minutes 40 minutes to configure the things. You will, instead of that, you will wait for the 5 minutes and you will get the things. And in EC2 there is also a parameter. You have to install this Docker or containerd Docker runtime engine, and after that you have to manage your the things like whether this pod is able to run or this container is running or not. While EKS inside that is a whole Kubernetes is covered. So I hope Aman has explained you in a great way, like what is the architecture and how we can use it. So that is mainly difference. EC2 is mainly server and EKS is a managed service of the Kubernetes. Cool. So okay, one more question from this Manish. Not getting why we need node group. It is required when we deploy KATS normally with queued Adam. Aman, would you like to take this question?
Yes, yes. Okay, so Manish, uh, as I mentioned, and as Nipun has mentioned, that why we need node group is the need of node group is to deploy our workloads. What is managed by EKS? As EKS is managed service, so EKS takes care of all these master plan architecture. Like you don't have a headache of backing up the HCD cluster, where and what details are stored in HCD cluster. You don't have to ensure high availability of all these master plan architectures. You just have to take care about your just your workloads. So in EKS, we need node group to store and run our workloads. So coming to the next part, is it required when we deploy KATs normally with KubeADM? Yes, worker nodes are required to deploy your workloads. Simple. Hope I have
Great.
answered your question.
Great. This is the last question, and as we are running out of time, so we are in sorry we have delayed it and we are in hurry. Yeah. Can we use pod instance and EKS node? Aman, would
Yes,
you like
Nipun.
to take this?
Yes, okay, taking it. Yes,
Great.
short and sweet. Yes, we can go with spot instance with our EKS node group. By the main benefit of using spot instances is we can have a larger amount of cost saving. As if we are dealing with infrastructure cost optimization, then we should think about spot instances where if we have not dedicated high availability like workloads.
Exactly. Yeah. So this is the end of the question and answer session, and I hope we have answered all of your questions. But feel free to reach out us in the LinkedIn, or you can reach out us in any way. We are ready to help you guys, and we are coming in with a more advanced topic like this. A basic one. We are going with a higher level, higher level. So please watch our notification or be part of our community group or CNCF group or AWS group. You will get all this notification over there, all updates over there. So I hope this is an informative session for you. And yeah, once again, thank you, Aman, for taking this session, and thank you for launching this great CNCF community at the Rajkot.
Welcome, Nina.
Yeah, thank you guys for joining. Have a nice day. Bye.
Bye bye, guys.